Hi everybody, welcome to Julia at Home. I'm Julia. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about how I organized our study of invertebrates for science and some resources on the invertebrates except for arthropods, which I'm going to do in a separate video coming up. So this is the science that we chose for my daughter's second grade and my son's kindergarten year, and it is the Real Science Odyssey Life. Now, we started doing this at the beginning of the year, and I will link all the videos regarding this science that we've done this past year up in here and also in the description box below. So we started doing this curriculum. My daughter really wanted to do it. She's really interested in biology and wants to be a vet when she's older. So it seemed like a really good fit. I have another video that I did this past winter on how it wasn't working for me. I mean, she loved it and it's a great program, but just the way we were doing it wasn't meshing with me. And so I've changed it up a little bit, and I'm still using this as a resource, but I'm expanding on it, slowing down, and kind of doing my own thing. So we started that with our study of the animal kingdom, and that starts with invertebrates, which are a majority of the animal kingdom. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Poriferans, which are sea sponges, Cnidarians, which are jellyfish and coral, Annelids, which are worms, Mollusks, which include snails and octopus, and Echinoderms. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but Echinoderms, which are sea stars and urchins. And then arthropods, which include crustaceans, arachnids, and insects, are also invertebrates, but we did them. I'm going to do a separate video on them because there's a lot more resources. First, I'm going to share the general resources we used throughout the study and we will continue to use in our study of animals. Of course, first is the life curriculum. I did use some of the pages, see if I can show you here, that are kind of introduction pages. They're pretty short. They're easy for students to read. If you wanted yours to read them on their own, like a second, third, fourth grader could definitely read this on their own. And then we did do some of the activities in here, not all of them. Just based on like the time it would take and the materials and also what time of year. For example, when we did worms, we did not have access to earthworms because the ground was frozen. So we might actually come back to those experiments, but we didn't do them at the time. So I used that just to read the introductions and for some of the activities in there. Then there's the book Tree of Life, The Incredible Biodiversity of Life on Earth. This is an introductory book. I've had this for a while. It goes through the different, so it's the Tree of Life. It's like an introduction. And so it talks about all the branches. Right now we are focusing on animals, but I actually just went through and read all of these, what the 5 branches are, and then it starts drilling down more on animals. So we read the invertebrates, and then it goes into vertebrates and breaks it down into the different kinds of vertebrates, like this one's on birds. So we're going to get to that later. So we actually stopped at the end of invertebrates and are going to be starting our new year of 3rd grade, 1st grade with the vertebrates. So we'll come back to that, but this is a great introductory book. Then we used this Kingfisher Animal Encyclopedia. So it has just a basic introduction to the different, so there's different, I think they're classes. I don't know if it's classes or phylums at this point. I'm pretty sure the phylum is invertebrate. Anyway, so for example, it just has like a little bit of an introduction, and then it has examples of all different ones that you would find. It doesn't have like all of the animals that you'd find in the world because there are a lot of them, but it goes into, and it has a bunch of pictures. And so some of the shorter sections we read all the way through. Some other ones we just picked and chose which ones we read about because they're pretty long. We have Animalia, and this is a great one for animals in general. This has a cool Tree of Life picture in the front. Tree of Animal Life. And it has a section on invertebrates. So, and it has different invertebrates. So there's the Porifera, the sea sponges, they're pretty cool. So it doesn't have all the information, and some of the information I have in these books is repetitive, so you can like pick and choose, but I just read what was relevant to what we were studying in each of these books. I have a few more general resource books that we used. There's, of course, Nature Anatomy and also Ocean Anatomy, because several of these live in the ocean. So if you haven't seen these are just gorgeous. Well, here's a spider page, which we're not doing spiders right now because they're arthropods, but just to give you an idea of what some of the pages in here look like. It doesn't really have, I mean, it does have an index, but, so I think this one had at least one thing we used in this unit, but I can't remember. This one definitely did. It's sometimes hard to find the right pages for things, because only the main, the sections have page numbers, but not each thing. Oh, but here we go. Here's coral. So, these are great to have on hand for any sort of nature study or science that you're doing. So this is an anthology of intriguing animals. These were on sale. The next 3 books are all related, and they just have a series of different animals or life cycles. Next one we'll get to. And so you can just see there are ones relevant to what we're studying in each of these. You just kind of have to find what you're looking for, and it's very basic information, but nice pictures. Wonders of Nature is very similar to that last one, which was an anthology of intriguing animals. And then there's also life cycles, everything from start to finish, which is not just animals. It has all different things in it, like rocks and stuff. But as far as animals, let's see. It has a couple that are relevant to this. It has coral. Woo. And it has an octopus. And this and the other ones I've just shown you, including Nature Anatomy, are wonderful if you're going to have your kids sketch something, which is what I did at the for each category we're talking about. I had them narrate and draw something, possibly more than one thing from one of the books that we've seen here, and label it. So that at the end, they'll end up with a book of the different animals that are all classified. And just to give you a little bit more detail on that, what I have my daughter do in 2nd grade is it's basically partnership writing. So she'll narrate to me something she learned about, let's say, what are octopus or mollusks. So I would have her do something on mollusks, just like what they are in general. I would write it down and then have her copy it. So she doesn't have to think through the mechanics of writing while she's thinking through what to write, but she is writing her own narrations. My son, I had him just give me an oral narration that I wrote down for him, and then they would both have to choose a mollusk to draw. In the case of mollusks, because we also focused on octopus and octopi and snails, I also had them do a little bit on each of those, like a little sentence on each of those, and make sure they were drawing at least one of each. And I do have a few resources for most of those sections, most of those categories. I really should have looked up, but I think it's most of those classes of animals, of invertebrates. Before I get into those though, I just wanted to talk to you about what it looked like to do the study. So it took usually just 1 day a week. If there's a lot of resources, it might have taken 2, but usually just 1. We would read through our general information. So usually that included the Kingfisher Encyclopedia. It usually included our life curriculum from Pandia Press that I mentioned earlier. And then sometimes it would involve Animalium. But those were our general resources. So we'd read through those first, learn about it. And then we'd look at specific animals in some of our other resources like Nature Anatomy and the other books that I showed you, just to see what information was in there and if there's anything else to learn. And then I'd pull out our other resources, which some of them are just like nonfiction books, but my favorites are just kind of fiction books, more living books about the topic that were more fun. And then after we did all of our reading, I would have my kids do their narrations that I just mentioned. And I am saving those for when we're completely done with our animal unit, and then we might do a nice binding and make them into nice little books. So that's what it would look like. It would usually take maybe an hour once a week. If I had a lot of resources, we might either split it up into 2 days that week or take longer. But that's what it looks like. Insects, which I will get to in the next video, did take longer. So that's one of the reasons it's a separate video. I'm just going to go in the order we studied them. And the first category or class was Poriferans, which are sea sponges. And I actually don't have any other physical resources to show you for that. We did use the Animalium book, and we used Ocean Anatomy, and we probably used a couple others as well. But I couldn't really find any good like other picture books or anything on sea sponges. If you know of any, please comment below for everybody. But what I did is I found a video. So hopefully I've saved it and I can find it and link it for you below. All the other resources I will also try to link below. Many of those may be affiliate links, so just a heads up. So that was Poriferans. Next are Cnidarians, which are some of my favorites. So these include both coral and jellyfish. And so the first book I have for you here is Coral Reefs by Gail Gibbons. Now this goes into other creatures that also live in the coral reefs, but it's a good book, so it's good for this topic. Let me show you. If you don't know Gail Gibbons and you're a homeschooling parent, I suggest you look up her books. She has fantastic nonfiction books for the preschool, kindergarten, elementary age students. I think it can be used for all those different levels. So this goes into quite a lot of detail on coral and the different things in the coral reef. So you can read as much or as little of it as you want, depending on the age and interest of your kids. We, of course, read all of it. And I also really like her illustrations, and I think they're also great to copy. I think my children might have copied one out of here. So, and her books usually have in the back like more little fun facts, and I like that page. So that's Coral Reefs by Gail Gibbons. Jellyfish. Now, I got this A Day in the Life of the Jellyfish book. It's not my favorite. It's very simple information, and it's, to be honest, it is information that we had already seen in other places. There's a little bit on some of the different kinds of jellyfish, and so it's fine. I didn't need to get too in-depth on them, and to be honest, I think this would have been more fun to watch in a video or something else to get this information. So I will link it below in case it will work well for you. But if I were to do this again, I probably just wouldn't even bother with this one. These next two don't really give you a whole lot of information on jellyfish, but are for fun. So these are Spencer and Vincent, the Jellyfish Brothers. And then I also have Peanut Butter and Jellyfish. This was a gift a while ago from my aunt. She gave to my daughter. And they're just fun picture books. They actually both have really good message. So Spencer and Vincent are two brothers. They get separated, and one searches for the other until he finds them and helps him. And it kind of, the story, I don't know if it's meant to be, but it kind of was symbolic to me of maybe somebody with like a mental health struggle and somebody else helping them. So I didn't explain that to my kids, but I liked the story because that's kind of what I took away from it. That like reaching out, help. Okay. And then Peanut Butter and Jellyfish is, Peanut Butter is a seahorse. But the crab is mean to them, basically. And they help him anyway. And that's just, let me see some of the pictures here. And so it's also just a good story, good life lesson, if you will. Kind of just a be kind anyway book. So yes, that's that's what I had for jellyfish and corals, which are Cnidarians, which was a new word for me. The next category are mollusks, which include snails as well as cephalopods. I love cephalopods. They are just so cool. If you don't know, cephalopods include octopus, octopi, squids, and yeah, I think squids is the category, and Nautilus, which is super cool. I may try to put pictures of these things up here if I can have time to do it while editing. Very cool. Anyway, the first resource I have here is What Lives in a Shell, and this includes other things. Oh, mollusks also include like clams and oysters and the mussels and such as well. So just to put that out there. So this included a bunch of mollusks, but I think it also includes some things that are not mollusks because other things are in a shell. See, like that had turtles, but I just decided to include it in this unit here. It's What's in a Shell. I also like these Let's Read and Find Out science books. I find them really well done. I have a couple fun books on snails. I have Are You a Snail? Which is more informational but also fun. So I like this one because it talks about if you are a snail, you have a big rough tongue right inside your mouth. And then at the end, if you look like this, you are not a snail, which just kind of cracked me up. But yeah, okay. So there's Are You a Snail? And The Snail and the Whale, which is just a Julia Donaldson book. I also really like Julia Donaldson as a picture book author. I have several of her books. So this was a fun one. It's not anything particularly super informational, but just a fun book that included a snail. So also includes a whale. So I suppose once you get to, if you do marine biology or sea mammals, you could use this as well. Somehow I only have one book for a cephalopod, and that is Inky's Great Escape. This is the incredible and mostly true story of an octopus escape, which is very cool. Show you some of the fun pictures in here. It's the true story of an octopus that escapes from an aquarium, which is fun. So that's Inky's Great Escape. And then I wanted to just mention to you a couple other TV resources if that's something you're interested in for your kids. So there's a couple of TV shows that have good episodes on these. One is Octonauts, and just in general, it's a great kids show, animated about sea creatures, that you learn about the different sea creatures while it's a story. And I remember they have at least one episode with an octopus where the octopus is like playing hide and seek with them and such, and that's really fun. If I can find it, I'll link it below. I can't remember what platform it's on though, so but I'll write down what it is at least. The other thing is the Magic School Bus TV show has a great episode, and I couldn't find the book form of this, but I may just not have found it. It may be out there, but they have an episode on I don't know if it's just on mollusks, on mussels or mollusks in general, but they all turned into mussels. I will see if I can find that as well and let you know in the description box below. Those are just some great resources. There may also be, we also love Wildcrats, and so I will look if there's any Wildcrats episodes that are relevant to any of these topics. I will also put them below because we do really love watching them, and my kids learn so much from those shows. Annelids or worms. We actually did these before mollusks and I forgot, but that's okay because I'm going to share the resources now. So I have several books on all on earthworms, but there's other kinds of worms, and we did look at them and talk about them in our Kingfisher Animal Encyclopedia. But okay, so these next two books, I don't think you need both. I could probably have gotten away with just one because there's a lot of overlapping information. However, they are both wonderful. So whichever one you can get your hands on via the library or used books or just buying it, these are both good options. So the first I'm going to show you is Wiggling Worms at Work. This is another Let's Read and Find Out Science. This is a stage 2, so it's a little bit more involved. But it just goes through like the life of an earthworm. And I thought this was a great worm to do. First of all, there's more resources on earthworms than other kinds of worms. But also my kids interact with them regularly. And they're great for my garden. So I thought that was important. And there are more, if you look up the Let's Read and Find Out Science, like on the back here, it says ant cities, chirping crickets, spinning spiders. So there's a bunch of these in this series. And then An Earthworm's Life. There's also a bunch in this series, I should say. And I also really liked this one. And it's what it sounds like. It's the life of an earthworm. So, and I think, I mean, the words in this one might be a little bit bigger, might be a little bit easier for a child to read, but I think they're both around the same level here. I think I like the pictures in the other one just a little bit more, but that's just a personal preference. These are perfectly fine. I mean, I don't dislike them. So this one gets, there's some scary moments here. This one, but it all ends up okay in the end. So that's An Earthworm's Life. They also have a dandelion's life, a house spider's life, a hummingbird's life, a ladybird's life, slug's life, a wood frog's life, a monarch butterfly's life. They might have more, but you get the picture. There's a lot in this series as well, and so you might want to check those out. The last was more targeted at my toddler, to be honest. It was kind of a toddler preschool age book, and I had it for our weather unit, so I included it here. And it is Worm Weather, and it's just a fun little book about it raining and it being worm weather. So it's not all about worms. It's mainly about rain, to be honest. But I just included it here because it's called Worm Weather and it was fun. The last category I'm going to talk about in this video is echinoderms. And that includes sea stars and sea urchins. So let me show you this one first. This is really the only book I could find on sea urchins. There wasn't a lot of options for kids books. And I did not love it. I got it because it's what I could find, but it's very dry. And so again, like, I think it'd be better to just find a video if you can, or just use the general resources and go from there, because I'll link it down below just in case, but I did not love that. I did like my starfish books though. So this is Star of the Sea, A Day in the Life of a Starfish. I got this one used. I try to get as many books used as I can. Let's see. Here we go. So, I mean, it's what it sounds like. It is the day in the life of a starfish. It's going to try to get those mussels. Or did it already? That was like the fun part. It gets the mussels somehow, I think. There is a little bit of a danger out there. There, I got the mussels. That was like fascinating how it eats them. But there's kind of an oh no part here as well. Some of the perils. And she loses the ray. But she ends up being okay in the end. So it's all okay. But that's Star of the Sea. I like that one. And then I have Anna and the Sea Star, which is just, it's just a nice picture book about Anna and her family. And they do talk about sea stars. And I like that they give it back to the sea. And then they imagine what happened with the sea star. And these pictures are also just beautiful. I don't know if they're like colored pencil or pastel. I don't know. I should look. I don't know if it tells me, but I do very much like them. So that's Anna and the Sea Star. So I hope those resources were helpful. Again, look for resources on arthropods coming up. I do really like how I changed things up for science. I enjoy going a little slower and diving a little deeper, and this has been great for me because I don't think I ever really studied invertebrates much before, and so it gives me an opportunity to do so with my children. I'm really excited to cover vertebrates this coming fall and winter. We're just going to take our time, go through the different families, maybe classes or families. You can tell me if you know down below of vertebrates. And yeah, and I will share the resources I have for those when we get there. I hope you all are and stay well until next time I talk to you. Talk to you later.